I've been a fan of Rustage D&D series for a while, so I'm going to discuss how I got into this series and the different things I like about them. I'll be getting into some spoilers, so if you aren't caught up with the D&D series, then you should maybe stop watching. I'm not necessarily going to spoil anything that will completely ruin your enjoyment, but if you want to play it safe, feel free to quit watching and come back in several years when you get caught up. Rustage's One Piece D&D series was the first ever D&D series I ever properly watched. I believe I started watching it pretty soon after the first YouTube upload because I think Noble mentioned it in one of his videos. But at the time I had watched very little One Piece, and I didn't even know much about D&D mechanically at least. For One Piece, I think I might have gotten up to the Drum Island arc before I stopped, so I knew hardly anything while watching the series. In fact, I'm pretty sure Devil Fruit Reincarnation and Hockey, I learned about One Piece D&D first before actual One Piece explained it to me. Nowadays I'm actually caught up with One Piece and I've played in 2 D&D campaigns, but if it wasn't for Rustage's One Piece D&D series, there's a solid chance I might have never caught up with One Piece or have had much of an interest in playing D&D, so I'm glad I got into the series. Now I'm pretty hooked on Rustage D&D series, but that wasn't always the case. Like I remember when the space arc started, I really didn't like the direction it was going, and I quit for like quite a while. I assumed that they were either going to permanently stay in space, or stay in space for at least multiple arcs, and I didn't like that. And I also thought that Duros' shield was going to permanently change his character, and I didn't like that either. Literally the episode right after I had taken a break from watching, Rustage clarified that the space arc was temporary, pretty much like Skypiea. And of course later the shield ended up becoming a friend, so my concerns were thankfully unwarranted. And after I came back from my break, I pretty much stuck with the series up until now. I'll talk about all the stuff I liked about One Piece D&D later, but now I'll get a bit into my experience with Isekai D&D. So for a while I was kinda hesitant to start watching. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just wasn't super interested in watching another new series. That was until I went on vacation with my family. I needed something to listen to, so I downloaded a few episodes and I started listening to them as podcasts. So I was just listening to them throughout my vacation. I remember I listened to episode 1 while in the Cracker Barrel, and I continued like in the car while mini golfing. Honestly, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't super hooked until I got home from vacation. Once I got to the episode where they started the Otherworldly Brewery, I started really liking the series. Randomly deciding to make a brewery is peak D&D for me, and that became like super important to the story, and I just loved all of that. The series has a ton of really fun moments, like all the rat stuff was great, that was a great arc. I don't think I'm quite as invested in Isekai as I am with One Piece D&D, but both D&D series have a lot to love, so I'm gonna start getting into that. I'll talk about both D&D series and mention the different things I enjoyed, and I'll talk about the different characters that I like too. I'll also mention which One Piece D&D Marines characters I like, but it's pretty early on, so it's hard to make any definitive statements. I'm not going to give in-depth thoughts on individual arcs or anything, especially because I don't remember a lot of what happened. I genuinely completely forgot that the fantastical Phelan existed. Like, I only remember that she existed when I watched the Devil's Luck rap, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I remember her? But truly, I didn't proudly remember that she existed until I like read a little bit of the wiki page and I like looked at what she looked like, and I like kind of remembered her. But really, there's just a lot I don't remember, especially about like what happens in individual arcs. Briggs probably has a better memory than me when it comes to One Piece D&D. But I'll still mention a few things I remember enjoying. I really liked the Blue Blood arc. It felt super intense, and I love that. And afterwards, the time travel arc was incredible. I'm a big fan of time travel and Back to the Future, so I just love anything relating to time travel. That was really fun. I love that arc. Honestly, I don't remember which other arcs I like specifically. I know I literally just mentioned 2 arcs, but I've barely rewatched anything, so it's kind of hard to remember like what happens in individual arcs. I did see someone upload a clip of G4 though, and I remember that I really like G4, so that's another arc that's great. I'm sure if I rewatch the series, there'd be like a ton of arcs and moments I could point to as being great. But right now, since I only watched through once, I've kind of forgotten like what happens in individual spots. But yeah, there's a lot of quality stuff there. But now moving on to characters. For characters, I think I have a lot more to say. For player characters, I think they all did a really good job. They're all pretty fun. Out of the One Piece D&D player characters, I think William is probably my favorite, but it's very close between all of them. I think William just barely wins since his Devil Fruit is so cool, and the chaos his character brings just makes the campaign way more enjoyable to watch. Meanwhile, I love all the other player characters, but I feel like William being gone would like hurt my enjoyment the most. For One Piece D&D NPCs outside of crew members, I think Dane Goodman sticks out to me the most. Dane gives me like strong Cave Johnson energy, and I really like that about him. Probably my favorite NPC. Outside of crew members, of course. So moving on to crew members. For crew member NPCs, I like Lula Clock, I like Alyssa, but I have to give it to Jimmy. Jimmy is my favorite. I don't think he's quite lived up to his potential in the campaign, but I still loved him. The fact that they just recruited a completely random guy to join the crew was incredible. I really wanted to see him get a Devil Fruit and get stronger, and although we didn't really get to see that in the main campaign, hopefully in Marines we get to see more of him. I kind of hope that if we see him again, he'll have a devil fruit, and or at the very least, will have awakened his blue blood strength. I kind of imagine him as like a marshal or like a sheriff in a town. I don't know if that's the direction he'd go in, though. Also, I have to mention this. I believe we never got to see the bounties after they defeated Blue Blood, but Jimmy canonically has a higher bounty than William at the end of that fight, because that one Marine agreed to give him the highest bounty. Now, it's possible that William has a higher bounty now because he's a revolutionary, but Jimmy, for at least a portion of time, had the highest bounty on the crew. William's bounty before the fight was 600 million, so it's at least a decent amount higher than that. If Jimmy shows up again and his bounty isn't mentioned as being higher than that, I will be genuinely saddened. Now moving on to Isekai D&D characters I like. I think all the player characters are pretty good, but one of them is incredible. Norman is my favorite character across all of Rustage D&D. Norman is kind of a nerdy loser, and for that reason, he's genuinely one of the most relatable characters in fiction for me. When I'm watching Isekai D&D, I'm like, heck yeah, Norman, marry that snake woman, yeah! I love Snake Girl ASMR too! In fact, here's some Snake Girl ASMR recommendations. They're absolute fire! And Norman's absolute fire too. Briggs does a great job playing him. He's relatable and consistently entertaining. And for that reason, he's my absolute favorite character. Norman's great. For NPCs, I had to say Rip is my favorite. The Rip jokes have made me laugh incredibly hard. He's a fun character just by himself, but the jokes surrounding him and how he's treated have made him incredible. He's really a favorite of mine. He's hilarious. Rippa, switch to the next scene. Now I'll talk a bit about One Piece themed Marines. It's very new, so as I said, it's hard to say definitively who my favorite character is, but so far I'm really loving Damien. I think all the player characters are really good, but Damien takes the cake. Despite not having many episodes yet, I think I like him as much, if not more than Duros already. I really like Damien. Noble does a great job playing him intelligently, and he actually feels like a Marine. He feels like he actually knows the laws, and he often does like logical decisions. Out of every character so far, he feels the most like a Marine, and I really like that. Noble does a great job. I'm also really intrigued by his backstory. There's a lot we don't know, and I would just love to see more of him. Damien is great. For NPCs, there aren't many options yet, but I'm really enjoying Taiga. Genuinely, I'm enjoying Taiga more than most NPCs from the original One Piece D&D campaign. I think his backstory with his evil exes is really silly and intriguing, and I'm just enjoying everything related to him so far. His personality is great. Probably one of my favorite NPCs already, even though he's had so little screen time compared to others in the previous campaign. I think I've more or less mentioned the main stuff I want to ramble about, so I'll wrap this up. If you enjoyed this video, don't watch my other videos that aren't at all like this. So far, most of my videos have been like super niche and just made for my friends, but maybe in the future I'll make more videos like this, about Rustage D&D. If I wanted to, I could probably make like 100 videos just talking about it. There's definitely enough content for that. But yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for watching and goodbye.